Welcome to the first session of the course on artificial intelligence in recruiting and sourcing. Today we're discussing opportunities and trends in artificial intelligence both in recruiting and sourcing. Yes, there will be a recording. Let me start with some information about this course. Today, HR specialists, recruiters, sourcers, business partners, and others face the need to integrate artificial intelligence into all HR processes, but today we're focusing specifically on recruiting and sourcing in order to stay competitive because the current situation is such that those who don't implement modern technologies fall behind those who do. Lack of knowledge about applying artificial intelligence leads to decreased work efficiency, missing out on quality candidates, and longer recruitment times. And recruiting doesn't like when things drag on. In recruiting, the fastest companies win. The longer you take to do something, the lower your chances of success. Without up-to-date skills in artificial intelligence, HR professionals, particularly recruiters and sources, risk becoming obsolete and losing their position in the job market, so it's also personally beneficial to study this. So that tomorrow, when being able to apply AI is a requirement, everyone will have this knowledge. This course is designed to give people an understanding of what artificial intelligence in recruiting and sourcing is all about. This is general information from a practical perspective. The ability to use artificial intelligence allows you to fill positions faster and be a sought-after professional. Yes, we started training recruiters with the simple topic of ChatGPT and recruiting. That was probably about a year ago now. Now it's about artificial intelligence in recruiting and sourcing. But even when we were training people to use ChatGPT, they were already saying that they could do certain processes faster. A year has passed and new tools continue to appear. This is a course, with 6 sessions over 6 weeks. It's the kind of course where I'll need to constantly check what new developments have occurred each week over these 6 weeks. What else needs to be added to the course because artificial intelligence is rapidly evolving? I don't know about you, but I recently got a new player in Twitter. Let's do a quick interactive exercise. Put 1+ if you use Twitter and 2+ if you've seen that there's Grok in there. 1+ if you use it. I'll show you, look, Grok is an artificial intelligence. I think I have some sort of premium subscription, but not premium plus. Here on the left, where all the menu items are, there's now a player. This is the artificial intelligence. And what's great about this AI is that it has access to all the information on Twitter. Twitter has the most up-to-date information. And while other AIs might search Google or elsewhere, Grok searches Twitter. For example, you can ask what's new on Twitter today about sourcing and recruiting. I think it's searching now with my subscription. Yes, and here it's writing what's new. The only thing I'm not sure about is whether there's a language selection or not. There is a mode that switches. Sometimes it answers me in Russian and sometimes in English. I have, if I'm not mistaken, yes, my premium, but not premium plus. And I bought my premium for a year. It cost about $1. Grok appeared in my premium. I literally just started using it a day or two ago and began chatting with it. This shows the speed of changes in recruiting, sourcing, and the world of artificial intelligence in general. Let's move on. This is the course website where there's information about this course, and I'll tell you a bit about myself very briefly, if we haven't met before. My name is Mike Pritula. In every course I say something relevant to the course from my experience. Today is about artificial intelligence. I won't talk about recruiting, which is generally where I started and where I've spent a lot of time in my career, building departments and processes. In terms of technology, I've always been fascinated by it. I've always been interested in what ATS and HRMS systems are out there. When ChatGPT became available to everyone worldwide last year, after being in beta for a while, I was probably among the first to start using it, applying it, and launching courses. The same goes for artificial intelligence. We launched the first course on artificial intelligence in HR probably a few months ago, and now we're focusing on sourcing and recruiting. In my work, I rely on best practices. Here's a list of what I recommend keeping track of. I'd appreciate it if you could write about yourself, what your job is, what your position is, so I can understand if today we have recruiters, sourcers, or HR generalists on the call. Someone might work as an HR director. In general, please write in the chat what your job title is. That's interesting. Meanwhile, I'll talk about the homework assignments as is traditional in all courses. Students, judging by the feedback, love them. They're challenging and I don't always accept them right away. I send them back for revision, but they're appreciated because they help internalize the material. Okay, your agency recruiter, great. And anyone who completes the homework, and those homework assignments will be accepted, and we'll issue a certificate of completion. We give away on the Accredible platform, basically the place where people hoard their diplomas nowadays. And we give out, Google, for example, gives out its diplomas and so on. The course program consists of 6 sessions. Today we're going to talk about opportunities and trends and examples of artificial intelligence in recruitment sourcing. That is, we're going to discuss what's already possible and what we're looking forward to here. In the second session, we will talk about working with texts and images. It's all about that. Then we'll talk about automated job matching in the third session, how you can automate co-sourcing and contacting candidates in the fourth session, evaluate candidates in interview analysis on the fifth, and employer brand and recruitment marketing on the sixth. So this is how it's going to go down. Okay, I read what you write, so your agency recruiter, CEO recruiter. I'm also writing my ATS AI for recruiters. The cost of the course is on the website, $400. That's pretty much it. Now I've sent you a link to the site so you can look at it right away. Here's that link, catch it? Yes. So we're moving on. Today we will talk about leading into artificial intelligence and its role, an overview of the latest trends and innovations, examples of successful cases, i.e., which companies apply, possible risks and challenges, and where this is all going, what's in store for us, what are the transformations in recruiting pile up thanks to artificial intelligence. The first thing I'd like to start with, I think I have this, strong feeling from talking to a lot of people in the field of in the field of recruiting, that many people still don't realize that it's all serious. Especially, people who, for example, have never used GPT chat until now, it's been a year. I don't think they realize that it's not just something that's going to show up in a movie about the future someday. No, it is today, it is right here and right now. And I want you to watch some videos right on this topic to convince you that this is real. To do it like this, I'll do a sharing of the whole screen, but here's the latest, the most recent company, OpenAI, which developed the GPT chat. She's partnered with Boston Dynamics, and they've developed a robot that, in addition to being able to move, walk, navigate, a robot knows how to communicate, knows how to make decisions, knows how to act. This one right here, it's not very big. But I want you to see this robot called Phi-1. And this thing wants to be produced in quantities of 1 billion pieces in the near future. 1 billion is how many cars there are in the world right now. You go out to your yard, look at how many cars are parked there, imagine the same number of robots there would be on the street. The only thing is that some of the robots will still be at home in companies, but still, that is, robots will be everywhere. Here's a look at what this thing can do. It's a figure. It's called the most advanced robot to date. It's literally a month of only 2 million views. And I wonder who has already seen this video, put a plus in the chat. I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table. Great. Can I have something to eat? Communicates with him on the table to explain what he did and at the same time put the garbage in, that kind of multitasking. I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table. Great. So based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next? The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, likely to go into the drying rack. He's not just following a command, he's pondering where to go. Here are all the dishes from the table. Well, I think it's in the dryer. And puts it in the dryer. And the movements are pretty plastic. What do you think? Do you think you've done some work? I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tail is where it belongs. I agree. Thanks for one. Well, that's how this thing works. Now there's one more thing. This is from Elon Musk, his company Tesla. It's called Optimus, also second generation. This is what the first generation looked like a year ago. It wasn't very, mobile. That was the first generation a year ago, I think. And no, this is the second generation. They just showed the first one too. Watch for movement. Memorize the names. That one was a Fig, this Optimus and Boston Dynamics, who have been developing a robot for a long time. They have a lot of these threshold dogs. And it didn't get 8 million views a year ago. Here's a look at the mobility of this mechanism. There's giving the command, and that's the mechanism. This one's name is Atlas. Okies and Atlas. These are three of the worst companies. Understandably, there are smaller ones that are trying to be developed because Apple still has it. So basically here we've seen mobility. Yes, these are all three videos to make you realize that this is very serious. So it's not about the distant future. It's about the possibilities of the here and now. So what does artificial intelligence know how to do in recruiting? The easiest one is preparing the text in the vacancy. He is really cool. And not only the text in the vacancy, any text that is working with text is his purpose. If you give it the right commands, give it the right building patterns, you can save a lot of time just even on texts. Next, he can help weed out the candidates. Finding candidates for you, we'll see about that in a moment. This is realized in the form of platforms that have this built in. So it's not something that's there to go on different platforms, but it's specifically built into the platform. Well, the same LinkedIn is fine too. They call it natural language processing. That is natural language processing. So you're in the ribbon. You don't use filters to choose who you need. You use words to describe who you need or copy the text of your vacancy, and LinkedIn will find the most suitable candidates for you. This is only one of the platforms, and there are other services out there. Communicating with candidates and answering questions. This is implemented in the form of all sorts of chatbots. That is, for example, counseling a candidate on your career site. The initial assessment of a screening candidate is also implemented in different ways. Let's look at one example today. Generally speaking, follow-up evaluation can also be with artificial intelligence. For example, a test task to write some code and then analyze it by interviewing candidates. Project job description. My pain takes time, especially when there are a lot of vacancies. Well, artificial intelligence is the pain reliever. The offerer can prepare and accompany during the adaptation. These are, in general, the most basic applications of artificial intelligence in the process of repping and sourcing today. Systems that offer such solutions, there are more and more of them. These are just a few of them. We will now take a look at screenshots of the different features for a general understanding. Well, further on in the course, in the relevant classes, we will look at in more detail. Again, the number is added, meaning it is the result of those who pioneered artificial intelligence adding to their solutions. There are those who got involved in this race later, and there are those who are just getting involved. So everyone reacts differently. Some of them started to try and experiment at once, some took their time, some of them are looking around. Ultimately, I think it's going to be everywhere one way or another. Exactly what functions can be automated? For example, selecting the most suitable candidates from the database is the very first thing that is and already is appearing and will be in all systems. So you have your own database of candidates that you have been accumulating for years. It's all your responses and manually added. The first thing artificial intelligence can do for any job opening is to show you who in your current base is the best candidate. And if you have this integrated with a process automation system, that is, it will show internal candidates as well. That's also expected from artificial intelligence. When artificial intelligence on this vacancy, the internal candidates are these here are the best ones, and in the candidate base. And it's not just comparing keywords like it used to be. So basically, there used to be systems that keyword by keyword we compared. It says that word in the job posting, and it says that word in the resume. So the more such words that match, the greater the match. Modern artificial intelligence, it allows you to go further. So he's no longer just analyzing words, he's analyzing the history of the posts, the industry, what he's been doing, where it's a skills description, where it's a responsibilities description, where it's an achievement description, position level, Pontu size. There is even an example of what criteria a candidate from an internal base is evaluated on in terms of why they are a good fit. Prole, skills, job level with so-called company size and industry. Well, you can further adjust the calibration, that is more intelligent, and not only synonym selection but also deep analysis. Next, an explanation of why you picked these or those candidates. So, for example, you point to a certain person and this candidate fits pretty well. Here are his pros, here are his cons. For example, he has no experience in that industry. Graphic design, print design, or rather not product design on the user interface design, yes, arrow design, at least not specified. I mean, that's the kind of thing, an in-depth analysis of the profile with an explanation. And for a recruiter, for example, it's an opportunity for a fast candidate to figure out if that's really not there or if it's just not on the resume. You need to specify. Here's another system for matching candidates too. Yes, you are shown profiles from your base, for example. To start from your base, some solutions and external base allow you to include a match percentage and highlight those characteristics too, and they even present some kind of score that says you're a good fit for this candidate, or by the resumes uploaded to the platform. Another system, it allows you to just upload a job posting, upload a bunch of resumes even if you don't have one anywhere in there, and build up a ranking of how suitable it is, reporting to the hiring manager as requested. Here's an interesting system too. There's a name in some of the screenshots right here, like for example by Mata Bim. Here's a look at how communication happens. The hiring manager asks the system how my vacancy is doing. The system analyzing the recruiter's work and all the statuses, so there are two incoming candidates. 23, they have the highest rating of 5 stars for being a good fit for the position, and there are further response options for the manager. For example, you could show these candidates or where these candidates most often come from. There's also a statistic showing all candidates from the last 48 hours. 6 candidates have progressed to the manager interview status. That's where the most suitable candidates are. So what the hiring manager would normally ask the recruiter, the system can now do as well. That is, provide the hiring manager with clear information, tips, profile analysis, and communication. Creating text for job postings. Well, many systems handle this well too. When you want to add a job posting, for example, you can simply generate text by title, provide some information about your company. They can handle this as well. You don't even need to use ChatGPT for this. Some systems, like text generators, can improve job posting content. You send them your text. They give recommendations on how to improve your text to make it more appealing. Composing tests for developers. In terms of testing and evaluating candidates, there are certainly many solutions, primarily for developers, because it's one of the most expensive and in-demand hires and quite challenging to evaluate a developer. For example, if you're not a developer yourself, recruiters need a lot of help, but artificial intelligence can do this easily. There are really many such solutions available. They appear, generate tests for developers on their own, analyze written code, provide feedback, anything. There are even systems that monitor how the developer performs the task in real time, i.e., they watch the video, check the windows to see if someone else is doing it. Such systems exist. Easy resume parsing. We know, for example, that many recruiting systems can take a resume and distribute the information into different fields. This is a photo, this is a date of birth, this is the last position, this is contact info, this is something else. With the help of artificial intelligence, parsing is becoming even smarter. It can separately identify skills, calculate work experience, which classic parsing can't do, for example, or experience in a specific field. Artificial intelligence does this much more intelligently. In this presentation, if you notice, I even provided some links as examples. I can post the presentation later in Michael's Telegram chat so you can take a look and familiarize yourself. Assessing an individual candidate's profile is also something artificial intelligence excels at. Some solutions can evaluate not only internally but also on platforms like LinkedIn, for example. That is, when adding on LinkedIn, the system will say if this profile is good and should be added to the funnel, or if this profile isn't worth adding. Again, we see assessment on LinkedIn, adding and evaluating its relevance to the job opening, a chatbot that communicates with the candidate. There are also many solutions, all sorts of recruiting chatbots. And they're different. There are chatbots that pop up on career sites. For example, your career site where all your job openings are listed. If the company is large, like Procter & Gamble, where there are not just thousands, but probably tens of thousands of vacancies worldwide, There's also an opportunity to show the candidate the most relevant openings. Because when you're a candidate visiting a company website with thousands of jobs, you get lost in them. You try to use some filters, and artificial intelligence can help you with that, can tell you to upload your resume or apply or upload your profile, give us a link, or use a built-in button. You load the system, and according to your profile, it can show you the jobs that might interest you and display only the most suitable positions. Next, what else can artificial intelligence do on a website? Maybe interact with the candidate? What questions do you have? What are you interested in? What do you want to know about? In which cities or countries are you interested in job openings? Just to chat with the candidate. Some chatbots can be used at the recruitment marketing stage. When you generate a flow of people, and after a response, the chatbot starts communicating with the candidate as if it were a recruiter. So, roughly speaking, you post job descriptions on all job sites, you have mass recruitment there, you're hiring cashiers for Zara, you have mass recruitment and candidates are responding. They click apply or respond, and they get to the chatbot on any entry form. Hello, Masha Maria. Tell me a little about yourself. What experience do you have, or send your resume? And it also communicates with candidates and only passes the most suitable ones to the recruiter. What else? This is an example of communication on a career site. So it chatted and so on. You see, upload your resume, you uploaded your resume, and there you go. Based on your resume, here's a great job for you. This is still simple, but I think very soon we'll see, like on LinkedIn, if you've looked at jobs on LinkedIn or even applied, LinkedIn knows how to show how many responses there are already, what your ranking will be among all the responses. It writes, for example, and if you respond, you'll be in the top 100% of candidates, encouraging you to apply, thinking, oh, I'm great for this job. I'm the best. It's for me. I'll apply. I think these technologies will soon be available. So it's going to show that for this job, you're apparently a very strong candidate. You'll be at an advantage there. Go ahead and apply. This is VCP. I curated, let's look at an example video of how platforms demonstrate interaction. In this course, I try to show videos of how all these platforms demonstrate to us either what they can already do or what they are currently developing. Because all these videos they show us allow us to better visualize what recruiting will look like with artificial intelligence, well, in 6 months to a year from now. So that's it. I'll play the sound for you again. Here you go, full screen. Let's watch one video, but a short one. This platform is called VCP, and they call it AI Copilot. In general, the Copilot theme is very popular. Many who develop AI-based solutions like to call it a copilot. What I like about this positioning is that they're telling you that you're in charge of this process, and this is your assistant, your copilot, JavaScript. So they're showing a conversation. Hey, recruiter, we need to hire a new JavaScript expert within 2 days. AI pilot, do this. Junior SDP. They don't show the question creation right away. Here's what it might look like for a candidate. This is so question. Setup down. Designing test. But what does this question actually do? Ah, got it. Perfect. All right, time to invite the candidates. Excel sheet uploaded. Invites are out. Skills in action. DM is ready. Candidates coding. This looks promising. Candidates are doing well. Come on. Impressive. Candidates are acing the test. Oh, this is interesting. Sets for future challenges. Selected candidates perform the test. The system rates them, ranks them, and indicates which ones are better or worse. Top ones into my calendar. Lovely. And that's a wrap. They showed it simplified and accelerated. There's a lot of integration, transitions, and so on. Is it possible to fully automate candidate evaluation? Here's something that can also save recruiters a lot of time. Conducting what companies expect to start with, which is the initial interview, and the second is a full-fledged interview. And there's this Talently AI system. It's a system that can, for example, completely take over the initial interview function. Platforms that simply allow the candidate to record answers to questions and then send them to you. There are many of them now. These platforms tried to analyze the responses somehow. Now, thanks to artificial intelligence, there are solutions that handle this perfectly. The only downside is that there's no support for other languages yet, but I think this is very temporary. So how does it work? You upload the job description text. The system suggests creating 5 screening questions. A competency-based interview generates a link, and you send it to the candidate. Candidates enter the platform, turn on their microphone and video, and the system dictates questions to them by voice and text. Candidates answer these questions just as if they were in a live conversation. The system records the answers as text and immediately evaluates them. And then it shows you which candidate received how many points. This is automated assessment. Useful tools for analyzing interviews. There are lots of tools that can also help as auxiliaries. In this course, we'll be learning about contacting candidates on LinkedIn with autofilling information from both profiles and job descriptions, searching for emails. This one, for example, allows you to analyze a conversation recording. One of the tasks for recruiters who conduct these in-depth interviews, competency-based interviews. These interviews need to be analyzed, reports need to be written. Accordingly, many such interviews are recorded, then they sit down and try to analyze what the candidate said, their achievements, competencies. Now all this can be simplified. You record a conversation with a candidate, send it to some platform for transcription. It's all converted to text, for example, using Speechmatic. Then you give the text to ChatGPT and it writes the conclusions. For example, what you can do to convert video to text, which sites work. Speechmatics, for instance, it can do this. And I also like Riverside. It does transcription really well and very quickly for a 1 hour long conversation, and it easily handles and supports many languages. They support 100 languages. This thing is also free. The only limitation is that it works with a limited number of formats, but that's not a problem either. There are sites that, if your iPhone records in M4A format, can quickly convert it to MP3, which can then be uploaded here. Then, for example, you can use Merlin. It's more interesting than ChatGPT. ChatGPT doesn't always do a good job with extracting key points. Merlin is quite well tuned for this. Thesis: Merlin is a multifunctional system. It has a bunch of useful functions. For example, taking a text file of an interview and extracting key points from it, it's very good at this. Here's an example, though I didn't use a candidate interview, but rather some blog post recording I participated in. It fully transcribed it and highlighted key themes. Next, there are tools for communicating with candidates. We're talking about auxiliary tools here. For example, Merlin is good at this, and there are also tools that allow candidates to automate either writing queries, responding to emails, or commenting. What else can artificial intelligence do to create images? When we publish on social media, we need to visualize everything and accompany it with images. We publish job listings or other content. Artificial intelligence excels at this too. There's a separate tool called Midjourney. It produces the nicest images. Of course, you can do it in ChatGPT as well. Canva also has a tool for creating images. This helps a lot with recruiting because, when you post a job opening for an office manager and your image is the same as other office manager job ads, it doesn't attract attention. Not all companies have a designer they can task with this. You can send a request to Midjourney and it will generate a cool image easily. For example, I generate all the cover images for our blog using Midjourney. For instance, if you go to our blog, I'll show you now. All these images are in the same style. I set a specific style for it. All these images are generated by Midjourney. If I had to search the internet for an illustration for each article, I'd spend a lot of time, probably 5 or even 10 minutes. But this way, I just copy the headline, the performance question, and tell Midjourney what style I want. I have a template where I just insert the article title and it generates an image for me. You can make a template for job postings too, come up with your own format, just insert the job title and it will generate. See, they're all in the same style. A little earlier, I used different styles here. These are all from Midjourney too. There's probably a lot to scroll through here. I started using Midjourney with simple styles and ended up with a unified style. So images also save a lot of time. What's also interesting is if you don't have some kind of ATS system, there are now solutions like Notion or ClickUp. It's a platform for working with documents. They have built-in artificial intelligence that you can communicate with and use cleverly. You can compose job descriptions directly inside this platform and then store them there. Successful case studies. Well, actually, there are already many companies successfully using artificial intelligence. Clearly, first and foremost, super huge companies like Amazon, Unilever, Delta Airlines, Siemens, Domino's, Electrolux, Hilton, Procter & Gamble, all companies with tens of thousands of hires. Obviously, any implementation of artificial intelligence results in immediate savings of hundreds of thousands of hours. So they already have these tools. And they started integrating even a bit earlier, before the emergence of all these mass market ChatGPT or other solutions we've looked at today. So what I want to convey. I'm not going to read this out now. It remains as additional material for you in the presentation. I just want to say, look, all the big giants are already actively using artificial intelligence. So if you want to compete with large companies in recruiting, and you have to compete with them, you simply have no choice but to use artificial intelligence, because otherwise you'll be fighting windmills. They'll take the best candidates for themselves thanks to their solutions, and you'll be picking up crumbs after them. What else is important to consider? I understand that for many this isn't relevant yet, and many don't think about it. But dealing with risks when using artificial intelligence, dealing with security is something that you at least need to keep in mind. For example, artificial intelligence might incorrectly write a job description, write something that could later be criticized. Artificial intelligence can make mistakes in evaluating a candidate. So there are risks, and we need to think about them, but this shouldn't be a deterrent for you in using artificial intelligence. But I'd like us to start thinking about them a little bit. So here will be an analysis of possible risks and potential responses to them so you can think about this too. Finally, let's think a bit. We've seen, first of all these robots. We've seen a set of solutions with specific functions. We've seen that large companies are already actively implementing artificial intelligence for candidate assessment and selection. Where will all this develop? What will happen not this year or next year, but somewhere in 3-5 years from a recruiting perspective? If all the possibilities of artificial intelligence are realized, I predict roughly the following things. I purposely didn't write much to focus us more. Since artificial intelligence can excellently evaluate people, I think very soon, and most likely it will be based on LinkedIn. LinkedIn already has the ability to take various tests. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but you can verify your skills through tests. I think people won't need to go through these video interviews with artificial intelligence when applying to different companies. Why? You want to find a job. You applied to 10 companies. These 10 companies already have artificial intelligence, and 10 artificial intelligences are interviewing you asking the same questions. It's strange, it's unnecessary, it's absurd. What will happen? There will be a unified platform. I believe it will be based on LinkedIn, which will allow you to take a comprehensive assessment of your hard skills, soft skills, all your talents, preferences, personality type, thoroughly evaluate and export this data to be used anywhere. Here I showed an analog. Look, for example, in the world of human DNA analysis, there are several platforms. For instance, there's 23andMe. You can send them your saliva. They'll analyze your DNA in a special tube and give you a report. And then you can upload this report wherever you want for food recommendations, disease risks, anything. It's your data. You create the test once, and there are millions of services that analyze DNA and can offer you something. The same will happen with testing a person's professional abilities, skills, and soft skills. Once a person takes it, they can then share their data with whomever they want so companies can evaluate it. So the assessment will simply be, there's a vacancy, there are requirements, people have shared their data, companies see which person is the best fit for their position. Then it's just a question of salary, preferences, and so on. Also, I think since this assessment will be a one-time thing, once you've been evaluated and then something changes, You'll likely be able to add new information about yourself to show that you're developing. That is, upload your results for the year, something new you've learned, an additional test you've taken. And you showed some results of your activities and your overall score increased. I also think companies will be able to access a person's data and, comparing it to their requirements, provide more detailed feedback. Look, you're not in the top 1% of candidates right now because you're lacking in this area. If you had learned this or confirmed this skill through practice, you'd be an even more preferable candidate for this position. You can develop it and come back in 6 months. Also, candidates will receive information about job openings based on their assessment rating, preferences, and current compensation. I think that since everything will be known about everyone, on one hand about the candidate, on the other hand about the companies, the process of selection interviews and negotiations will become obsolete. People will simply receive notifications that a certain company has opened a position and their profile is a perfect fit. They're offering this much money. If you want it, if it suits you, apply. It will be a matter of seconds. If a person agrees they don't need to go through an interview, they're already evaluated, the company just hires them. Therefore, the hiring speed will likely be reduced to a few seconds, and it will be necessary to regulate how often candidates can change jobs. And how will that work? To avoid a situation where a person changes jobs 5 times in a month and gets the best offer in terms of money and all conditions, and then a month later something else. To prevent this chaos, they'll likely introduce some regulations like you have a window that opens once every 3 years. You can prepare yourself and you have this 1-month window where you must choose the best offer for yourself. Your data is fully available. Choose if you want to change jobs or not. Your current company can also compete for you. And then the window closes and you simply have to work. So there will be some regulations to protect employers. And in general, to avoid chaos, it's not good for people to change 5, 10, or 20 jobs in a year. That's likely how it will be. The technology suggests that this is already possible now, it just needs to be implemented technically. It's a question of people's willingness, companies' willingness, regulation of all this data security, data transfer, and so on. That's how I envision it. Homework for those of you in the course with us. Describe the 3 biggest problems or challenges your company could solve with AI-based tools. Consider what's currently most difficult for you and what you'd like to solve using artificial intelligence. What's next? In the second session, we'll talk in detail about how to work with job descriptions, that is, what solutions exist besides ChatGPT for working with job texts, what tools are available. Of course, we'll discuss how to communicate with ChatGPT, how to formulate queries, because simply requesting create a job description for a project manager will produce a text no better than copying from any website. But if you edit it a bit, provide some background information, guide it, you can get a really great job posting. We'll also discuss images because we often publish job openings on social media, which means we need to accompany them with images. We'll talk about where and how to best generate images, what templates exist to maintain a certain style or interesting approach, and what platforms are available. So besides ChatGPT and Midjourney, where else you can generate content, we'll figure that out. In the third session, we'll look at automatic candidate matching for job openings. That is, what solutions exist that can do this. In the fourth session, we'll cover what's out there in sourcing, what automation tools exist for contacting candidates, what plugins are available in Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge that can write personalized messages, how to organize it all, so that messages are written for you, taking into account your job description and the candidate's profile. Then we'll discuss tools that allow you to evaluate candidates and analyze interviews. And we'll also talk about employer branding and recruitment marketing. We'll cover both simple solutions like using free GPT chat, as well as options with free trial periods and paid solutions you can purchase. We'll look at options for sourcers and recruiters with no budget, as well as those who have a budget and are willing to spend money. That's what we'll cover here. That's all for today. If you have any questions, please write them down. If there are no questions, you can share what was most valuable or useful for you today. And taking this opportunity, I'd like to invite you to take this course. I believe it costs $400. You know, investing in education is by far the most profitable investment today. Cryptocurrencies. They're volatile, it's easy to lose money, banks pay low interest, real estate gives little return too. But knowledge, we have case studies of people who've gone through training, found jobs, got into roles, received promotions, got salary increases. There are hundreds of thousands of such cases. I haven't seen any other area where you invest a little money and effort and get such great results. Maybe sports comes close, okay? Too bad my solution won't make it into the course. It'll be out at the end of June. Okay, please tell me more. All right, friends, thank you all. Igor, I think I've seen you somewhere before. You're a project manager at some company collecting lots of information about courses. I don't know what you do exactly, but you're an interesting person. How safe is it to use artificial intelligence at work? But we talked about risk issues today. There was a slide about that. It needs to be considered. That is, which company provides the solutions, what this slide covers? What solutions, what guarantees? For example, OpenAI and their GPT chat, they promise it's not used anywhere in any way. They had some incident with a leak, I believe, and they apparently conducted an investigation. Samsung had something like that, and they shut it down. So yes, safety is important. There's no one-size-fits-all answer here. Each solution has its own policies regarding safety. Clearly, all these solutions are interested in preventing any leaks, so they're not accused of misusing data or causing breaches. Plus, on one hand, new legislation is emerging, trying to regulate all of this to protect companies and data. So my impression is that it's safe, specifically in recruiting for sure, because there's no super secret data involved. It's probably just a question of GDPR compliance in Europe, but again, artificial intelligence itself doesn't store data anywhere. Which of them use input data for training and which don't? You need to read their policies. This question can be addressed. But overall, my feeling is that it's safe. They have a vested interest and everything is regulated. I would not see any reason to worry about anything, okay? Thank you all. Thanks for the questions. See you soon. Bye-bye. Keep an eye out for announcements about our open webinars. Come join us. I would be happy to chat. Bye.